Today is really exciting, guys. I'm taking you along to another southern wedding venue, and it is Adelaide Events Venue all the way in Spartanburg, which is 40 minutes away from Greenville. So I'm going to take you along on my drive. My name is Abby, and I'm a Greenville SC wedding photographer and content creator. I take you along to different cities and adventures that I'm having as a photographer. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Days before photographing a wedding, I do prepare my camera gear and my bag, and on the day of the wedding itself, while I drive, I often watch a lot of wedding photography full wedding day behind the scenes videos like this one to get my mind in the zone. I go more in depth about my wedding photography process and behind the scenes in some of my other videos linked above if you want to take a look. Alrighty, so we made it to Adelaide Events Venue here in Spartanburg. I am second shooting today for a wedding, so you'll be seeing some behind the scenes tips for brides and photographers, so hopefully that's helpful. I am second shooting for today's wedding, but whenever I'm the primary wedding photographer, I usually do try to visit the venue beforehand if it's not too far so that I can get an idea of the exact photo spot possibilities and can communicate that ahead to the wedding coordinator or the bride so that the bridal party and families know exactly where I'm expecting them to be for the photos. Adelaide Events Venue in Spartanburg SC touches on a more vintage southern wedding style and seems to be able to host a small to modest-sized wedding. This front area here is right beside the parking lot, which I'm going to show you guys later in this video, but this front wraparound porch offers a nice spot for portraits, even a wedding dress shot, and offers natural light for any flat lay images. Upon entry, there's a service desk, which I have to say, guys, the owner was so sweet and so nice. I kind of hurt myself later in this video, and she totally helped me and took care of my little situation. My first responsibility at any wedding is to meet the family and friends and to make them feel comfortable with me, and then I go straight into getting ready photos and wedding flat lay photography, which was up here in the second story. It was dark up here, but I tried to utilize this little window as much as I could for natural lighting. If the bride doesn't have a nice hanger, I usually use one I bring, and for the wedding flat lay details, I make sure to communicate ahead of time what's needed to be made ready for me in a box, like invitations, heirlooms, and jewelry. After getting ready, it's usually the first look. Brianna, the bride, actually had a first look with both her groom and her dad, which props to her because whenever there's a first look, that means the bride and the groom can hang out all day instead of waiting for the ceremony. And having a first look also means that most of the wedding photos, including the couple portraits and bridal party portraits, are done before the ceremony. If you are wondering if you should have a first look or not, I highly recommend having a first look. So this is where we are having the first look with the bride and the groom. This is the porch in front of the house, and it's really cute because there's actually like a little water feature on the side and a fountain on the other side, and it is beside the road, so you have to be careful when you're shooting, but overall it's really cute and quaint.
It's a perfect area for a first look. This side has a barn on that part of the lot. And then there's the parking lot. But then this is where we had the first look right here. We had the groom standing where those chairs were. We moved those, of course. Then we also did some looks over there in front of that gate.
After the first look, I allot around 30 minutes for couple portraits, and we did take Brianna and Mitchell back inside since Adelaide Events Venue offers many vintage furniture pieces. If the weather outside is nice though, I primarily do shoot outdoors. For wedding couple portraits, I like to start with casual prompts that get the couple comfortable, such as the slow dance, sway, twirl, walk, and then jump into formals where you're both looking at the camera, full body, and up close, just because those are the ones your family will frame, and some photographers forget that since it's easy to focus on fun, candid wedding images for Instagram. During this time, a second shooter can help with wedding portraits, but the second shooter can also make their way around the venue to photograph untouched details before the ceremony and reception. Adelaide Events Venue has a little outdoor reception area right beside the outdoor ceremony lawn, and because the day was pretty chilly, they had nice space heaters to warm the guests. I advise my couples to have at least 30 minutes after bridal party photos and family portraits before the ceremony to just relax and take in the day. During this time, I slow down for a little bit, take a sip of water, which I always forget, check my timeline, make sure I've gotten what I've needed, and coordinate with the second shooter and videographer where to stand for the prelude. And as I wait, I usually do make my way around and snap photos of guests so that the bride and groom remember who came to their wedding. Since Brianna and Mitchell had a first look, highly recommend. The only formal pictures they had left were immediate and extended family pictures. At the end of the ceremony, I have the officiant or the MC announce where the family portraits will be, and a family member, coordinator, or second shooter can help with lining up the necessary family groupings, which, as your photographer, we would have already squared this away days before your wedding to make family portraits as fast as seamless as possible. During this time, if the second shooter isn't needed, the second shooter takes photos of guests during cocktail hour. After family portraits, it's time for the bridal party entrance to the reception, and often the bride and groom's first dance. Then the wedding reception timeline usually flows into eating time, which we're totally here for that, cake cutting, toasts, games or dancing, and then your send-off. My priority during the wedding reception is to really capture memories with your guests. I often float nearby to make sure I'm there whenever you need me. The wedding reception is a full celebration where I really get to hone in on my love for photojournalism and all things documentary.
Okie dokie, so it's the end of the wedding day for me, but I just wanted to kind of run through what I did. As a second shooter, I helped with getting ready, flat lay, dress shots, and then we did the first look with the bride and the groom and the father. I actually got injured on the job. I'm bleeding, or I was bleeding, because I hurt myself on this door. They're really quaint, but these old doors just are not helpful because they're pretty, but they're not functional. So I'm only second shooting for 4 hours, so I'm about to head out. I ended with the reception. But yeah, if you guys enjoy this wedding venue tour, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and make sure you go ahead and subscribe to see any more wedding venue tours or any cities that I'm exploring. And if you want to see the end result images from this wedding, make sure you follow my Instagram page down below.